everyone, here's Riffi! Woo woo! Yeah. Okay, it's me again, back so long, it's been so long. This video's topic is human population. Panic properly. Panic correctly. Yeah. In my last video, I explained that human child production has basically stopped. I mean, it's not stopped, but it's stabilized. We're getting 2 billion kids under 15 years old every 15 years in the world, globally, right? But that's hard to understand. So now I'm getting a bit more granular because I've been hearing all kinds of folks saying stuff about, I guess there's a migration crisis. People are moving around on this globe and it's a crisis. Oh my gosh, they're moving. Where are they going? Why are they going there? What are they thinking? So I consulted my good reference guy, Hans Rosling, the late Hans Rosling. Good that he lived. And along with some checks, I basically pulled this information from one of his videos. So for a granular recap, here's our 7 billion people spread out all over 4 continents. Yes, each square is about 100 million people, but the squares are not all full, right? So if you look at Europe, for example, it's saying 1 billion for Europe. That's a bit of an exaggeration. There's probably 700 million or so, maybe 800 million. But the point of the squares in this chart is that the population is spread across those 5 categories, from 0 to 15, way up to over 75. So let's get this world running. Here we go, 2012, and then 2030, you can see that the Americas, Europe, and most of Asia are not really changing very much, except that Asia's getting fewer children. I thought, can that be true? I actually checked that. I thought, that can't be true. Asia's getting fewer children? I guess they are. That's what everybody says. Might be wrong. It's a camel talking here. Camel, how serious can you take this? It's a camel. Let's keep going, but before we keep going, let's notice that Africa has gone from 1 billion to 1.5 billion in 13 years. Yeah, something to think about. Here we are in 2045. 2060, that world's filling up, and you can tell that some of these squares are not only a bit smaller than they appear, they're also sometimes a bit bigger, particularly in Asia and Africa. Some squares are going to be 90 million people, and some squares are going to be 120 million people. That's just how rounding works. Taking a real long shot at a view at 2075, 10 or 11 billion people. This is what we think the world's going to look like. Hans Rosling would say this is the great adult fill-up, and all the orange blocks are the people that weren't there 60 years before. But I want to point something else out. All these orange squares are people who have not yet been born. Some of them have been born. 8 billion of the 10 billion people not yet born today. They don't exist yet. We're talking about panicking properly. We're going to come back to 13 years from now, 2030. I heard somebody say, you know, those crazy Africans, we send them all our money and they just make babies. Well, that's just totally wrong. Totally wrong. You look at Africa, they're getting along with 1 billion people on that whole continent right now. And in 13, 15 years, they're going to have 500 million more. They're just going to have that many more. And they're making so many more babies, they're making the babies to make up for the babies that the Asians aren't making. So they're taking over blocks in the bottom row there. And something else to know about these billions of people, about 2 billion are really, really poor. So it's basically the ones who are the poorest in Africa and in Asia who are going to give us the next 3 billion people. But that starts today. So if you have 400 million people in Africa, boys and girls, growing up hopefully, getting replaced by 500 million more. But, you know, in 2030, those 400 million, they're going to be in puberty. You really want to make sure the ones with the fewest resources get the support they need to have control over how many babies they make. And that's 2 parts. That's giving the ladies the power over their bodies to have babies or not have babies when they want. And it's also making sure those babies that get born survive. And that's easy math. That's trackable, that's confirmed. Everybody on both sides of every political spectrum will recognize and agree to that. So let's keep supporting Africa and, you know, the poorest parts of Asia. That's the whole world. Let's all help that out, and it's going to be all right. So you want to empower these people to make their home the place that they can live in happily. And if we don't do that, and if it dissolves into war and famine and disease and all kinds of other crazy stuff, not only will the refugees be flowing over the borders like crazy, I mean, there's going to be another 2 billion of them, but there will be even more refugees because women in control of their reproductiveness generally produce 2 kids. And if they can't, or if 2 of the kids die, they're going to produce 6 kids and 3 or 4 of them will live. And then what happened? Population just doubled again, didn't it? So you don't want that to happen? You want to panic about that? Send help. There you go. I'm a camel, but I've never been to Africa. I guess it's an awesome continent. I assume it can support 3 billion people rather well if things are sorted out. So are you with me? Let me know if you're with me. Let me know if you disagree. Let me know if you have some other data that I should think about. I'm an easygoing camel. I want to know about it. Have a great day and happy Thursday, Day of Thunder. It's all those people that are making so much thunderous noise. Wow! Ciao. Ciao. Hey, if you like this video, please subscribe. If you don't like my topics, please leave a comment and let me know what you want me to talk about. I'm ready to talk about anything. I can talk all day. Yeah, I can.